All right, so as Amy mentioned in her video or screencast, we have taken the feedback that we received from our prototype and kind of split them between the two of us so that we can make sure we are addressing all of the feedback that was given to us. In order to compile the feedback, we worked together in a document on Google Docs to kind of categorize the feedback that we got, and Amy touched on kind of the first two categories where some of the feedback fit into, and I am going to touch on the last couple of categories. One of the questions that was asked in our feedback a couple of times was about whether or not we had considered some of the special considerations for students, such as EAL learners, attendance, cultural considerations, and socioeconomic status. So one of the places that we touched on this, or we felt, but need to make more clear where we have it and where we see that we've talked about it, will be found here on the course overview. So if we go to the course overview, and then if you click into the course overview link, and then it'll take us down to this section right here on special announcements. So we, when we started planning this unit, we, like Amy mentioned, considered that this unit would be one that would, or this module or course would be one that would work in a situation where about 80% of the students had access to a device. With the understanding that we know that's not always the case. And one of the considerations that we made for personal or cultural considerations, that we would never require students to take videos of themselves, their faces, if that was something they didn't believe in, they weren't comfortable with. And we also wanted to make it clear that communication is something that we're open to, and we would do that on a per student basis, and the goal is to have the students be comfortable. The consideration in terms of English language learners, what we would do is we would add closed captioning to our videos, and depending on the class, it would be replaced with subtitles in the language of each student. So if the student is speaking a different language, we would replace that. We could work one-on-one with the student to work through this. And then what we've provided for families, and you can see it right here, is a YouTube help space in terms of how to create the subtitles and how to change the language if we wanted to. So that was where we considered that. One of the other questions we had was around what was our consideration for attendance, and when and how would students be able to make up, not make up, but be able to complete these assignments if they weren't able to do it at home. So what we would do is provide students with the information in terms of the website, through a note, home to parents through an email, and then ideally through the Remind app, which comes right to parents' phones. We would make a point of making sure that parents had the information they needed, and then working with families to make sure that they are able to complete it in a way that works and fits within their family setting. One of the other areas that we wanted to make sure that we shared with you that we did consider this and we thought about this in planning the course was around the socioeconomic status of our students. If they do not have access to technology, what we've tried to make sure that we share many times throughout this prototype is that we would work with students and their families to ensure that they were able to have what they need to do this course. So it says right here, dependent on teacher and student access to technology, this course could take on a more online persona, or it could be the opposite. We would work with students and their parents to ensure that each child has an opportunity to be part of this class, do the same learning as all the other ones, perhaps offering parents a chance to come into the classroom when it works for them to do this with their child, us doing this with their child as the teacher, Another space where we felt that we kind of touched on this was right here in the assessment piece, where we said for students who do not have access to Seesaw, the teacher and the family of the child will work together to determine a means for sharing understanding. At times, students will be prompted to use other tools, and we would work with parents to show them how this works, what this works, and if they can't do it at home, it can happen at school. We would be prepared to help that and support that. One of the other questions that we had in our feedback was why we chose this topic, and it was felt that we didn't share that. And our why was simply because we both found that it was interesting. It was an agreed upon topic. Amy and I both have experience in primary settings. Amy works with a wide range of kids. I work with grade 2s at the moment, and we felt that we understood primary learners, and we felt that we could create a course that primary learners would benefit from. One of the other questions or comments about our prototype in general was that someone did not like the font of how this prototype was set up, and that's something that can easily be changed to the preference of whoever is viewing or using the prototype. And then one of the other pieces was around the questions or pieces of feedback was around the length of our videos in our sample lessons. So my video is here, and then Amy's video is down here. And Amy and I used the guidelines that were provided to us in terms of the length of the module that we were supposed to have. I believe it was between 5 and 15 minutes, and we tried to make sure that we included the information that was needed, share what was needed so that the students and their families would know what to do. And we felt that the timeline or the time frame in which we shared this was something that our students would relate to, because they're around 7 and 8 years old, so they should be able to attain and attend to something about that length. And the good part about videos is that students can pause them, take a break, or get started and then continue to play it as they go. So I think that's in general us touching on most of the feedback. Now, if anybody does have any other questions about our prototype, why we did something, why we didn't do something, what we've done is we've created this document for those that are viewing our prototype, where you can contact both Amy and I and ask us questions. We do have this learning document where if anybody wants to teach this course, share this course, has questions about this course, they can go into this document and just write some feedback. And we would love to continue to work on this and see it actually take place in the classroom.